gonna set up the cube this morning. Ed's gonna, we're gonna set up the black box and put that underneath his cube unit and give it a whirl. He's gonna test it out as opposed to his old cube stand. All right, we're gonna put this. No, we'll do it right here. We're gonna go ahead and put this black box together. Ed's gonna put this. Here's his bottom tray. Then we need to put on the adapter that spills out on his bottom tray.
That one goes
right? Yep, and it goes this direction.
Okay.
Because this stops it from going up against the bottom of the back of the box. Okay. And then this is only 8 inches wide. That's all we need to spill out what we need to do. So that allows a person, if they had 8-inch sluice, if they bought this unit by itself, they can put it on an 8-inch sluice, 10-inch, 12 inch. So it's got 3 little screw holes right there. We're just going to put these little stainless screws in. There you go. Just screw that up. Being stainless and not as magnetic as a...
Well, they're good stainless, they're not magnetic.
Yeah, the one that's corrode out forever. We're trying to buy decent fasteners. Alright, this hooks up to here with a different wing nut. So we got this one on. Now we need to put this back piece on. And so here's your tray.
Yeah.
And then this is the leveler because this is a rounded profile to a point because that allows this to then be, adjustable. And now we need the adjuster on here. So just line that up right to the edge. Yep, it's kind of just self-lining up. Yep, so it still switched together. Yep. And it's got some screw holes in it, and he's just gonna throw some fasteners in it.
It says 80. It says 80. So
Sweatshirt day. 80's a tank top day. Sunscreen.
Well, I'm in the basement, so it's about 68 degrees. I don't. It gets up to 80.
So we got this guy here. So we'll take this thing down to the trick now after we put these blades into the bottom box.
I'm pretty sure that
box right up here. Thank you.
She was swimming.
Alright. Well, we got in that shrink wrap up. It's got 4 little. Oh, you got them in your hand. Okay. We're just going to go ahead and put these blades just at a low setting, and we'll adjust them down the tray. So, being the wide stance leg, it kind of brings the stance of the sluice out away from the side of the cube box, and also basically has adjustments on each of these, so you can adjust them however much you want to. So now the stance is out away from the cube unit, so it gives it more stability. Now it's longer too, so it's got a wider stance. So that's what the whole thing is about the wide stance legs themselves in a leg kit, and also the wider stance of this in a cube system is going to allow for this thing not to wobble as much, especially like if you have the trommel on it.
For people who have the
dirt in the house.
And I bought it for $179.
So, and then you got a sluice, that's a trailer sluice. Not that you really need it, but if you have a box that has a stance, you might as well utilize that space, because if you do like an overfeed or let it run for a while clear, you don't have to worry about your pay going out, because now you got a flatter pitch going out. And this guy here actually slips over these, and what this does is this box is welded here in the corner, and it's real stable and it can't flex. But we know that the aluminum can flex. the box. So we got this bar, the simple solution without making all this crazy bracketry. We put that over, and now your box is rock solid, and it's not going to flex, and your stand isn't going to flex. So now we're going to go down to the crick, and we're going to set this in the crick, and then we're going to take the adjuster, hook this screw up here to the other piece so the unit can't slide out. We put it at its pitch, and this guy here adjusts our level of our cube, and we get our level going. So once we get this basically level, we have fine-tuned level on both sides of this, and up and down to level our cube up. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to take this down to the crick now and just kind of set it up and just run a little water through it for a little bit. That's the bolt that joins this to this and allows this not to slide off, so when you're shoveling it doesn't move. It gives a lot of compliance. These are oversized holes. Lickety split. Let's go. Take her down to the crick and play for a little bit and call it macaroni.
Sounds good. Let me this.
All right, first thing we're going to do is we're just going to Ed pick this spot here. He must know what he's doing.
Oh, hardly.
So we're going to level up this base. So we just came down here and set it up here. He brought a level up. So we're just going to split. Usually the cube is like, some people debate this, 12 or 15 degrees. And we're going to split that in half. So we're going to go like a 7 degree pitch. So we're just going to eyeball it. But one thing we want to do is we just want to, get the front level. So we're just going to get the front of this level. We're going to drop this guy down a little bit. And the lower to the ground you are, the more stable you're going to be, and the less you're going to drop water off the front of this and do some crazy erosion thing. So we're guessing we're probably 8 degrees, maybe we're 9, not quite. I don't know. We'll let judgment settle that. So we're just going to level side to side. And so here's the box. I haven't really thought about, and I'll do it right now, but first we got to do the wiggle test. Make sure at least where we're at isn't going to have some issues. So we got it past the wiggle test here. There we go. We got the good wiggle test going. So now I got to bring this end up a little bit. I just took it down. All right, so there it is. Got the wiggle test going, so we don't want to, do all the work to level it up if we're on, going to fall around. So we're guessing on the pitch. So we got the legs set up, boxes set up. We got our spreader here. So now when we put weight on this can't come together. This back of the box supports that. So now we're going to put this rear guy on here. And you see we got a hole here. I'll take the wing nut from you. It's always good to take another 1/4 wing nut from the hardware store with you, because if you drop it, that's just the kind of the risk of prospecting with fasteners. So you can use a carabiner if you can find the right carabiner to put here. So if you don't mind reaching underneath there and kind of putting your finger right underneath the cube tray, yep, just like that. And then we're just going to put a couple of twists on this. One of the complaints we had right away, not complaints or misunderstandings we had right away, was someone said these interfere with the cube stack and they have to be down all the way. They don't. You can see how the fastener provides the ability for this to go by. We spill into the top of the box and then we drain over the mat. So this is your rear thing. So now, before we put that on in, it's easier to level up this cube tray right now. And so we're going to put this on here, and these two levelers in the front here are allowing, and Ed's already going the right direction because he works construction, he understands the bubble. He's just leveled up this cube tray. So now, but one thing we haven't done is we haven't leveled it this way. So here we are, we have two choices to make here. And the pitch is pretty steep. So I imagine we're like 9, maybe a little more. Do I level the cube up and leave this steep? Or do I leave this flat because I want, to get my good gold going in, or do I level the cube up? I would, just because I know that 9 is still a heck of a lot flatter than, heck of a lot flatter than, what do you call it? Nope, heck of a lot flatter than 12 or 15. In our rocks, we have more rocks here than sand. So I would leave this steep and I would lift these guys up, because rocks are harder to get out than sand. So we're just gonna sit here. Me and Ed are just tag teaming this. I want to go work construction with Ed because I didn't even have to tell him what to do. He was just like on it. And I tease people like that. It's like, watch what I'm doing, man. Follow the cube. So here we are. We lifted it up. The cube is level. Now we're just going to double check how good we were as far as Ed was off a little bit. He has to come up. I'm just teasing. Instead of me coming down, get it? I work it. I work it.
Go up.
No, oh, you're right. It was me. You got to go down now. Little dyslexia. There we are. Now, we know this is rocket science. We're pretty close. That's good enough for water. And actually, the water coming off the back of this will tell you more how level it is sometimes if your bubble on your level got knocked off. Because sometimes these get dropped and they're off a little bit.
Sometimes you're right there, Dave.
Well, it depends on if someone borrowed your tool, it's off. If you haven't borrowed it out, it's working pretty good. So it just depends on how many times you borrowed it out.
And actually, those legs help.
And if you had trouble with that, we could have let this back a little bit.
Right.
So anyways, just so you know.
But right now it works well
Yep.
there because it helps, keeps this in
So here we
place.
got this. Look at this. This thing is wiggling back and forth. We got it can be bumped, and the stand is still in a good place because it's powder coated. It's not metal on metal. We tried to try to take it to that next level to make it look really nice. And since the black box, everybody calls it that, as the black box, we kind of felt it had to be powder coated black. So here we are. We got a cube stack set up on top of the black box. He's gonna hook up his hose, his battery, and we're gonna shovel it. That's all it takes to hook this thing up. Now, especially if you have a trommel, you know, and then you work the stack where the trommel's kicking out this way, but then that means the tailings would go here. But that's good because they wouldn't go off the front. You're gonna have a nice stable base supporting you underneath that. And so I know the cube stand comes out further and has some supports, and we really didn't want to try and solve that complete problem, meaning that create a problem to solve a problem, but I'm pretty sure that it ain't going to take much figuring out to get the braces set up for the hold the trommel. Most of the trommel does, the way it clips in, rests on the cube stack itself. And it's the banker that has the little bar that comes up and supports. So we're going to cross that bridge when we get there. But anyways, there it is. So he's got to hook some clippers up to a little battery.
Yeah. I need a
Hose clamp?
hose clamp.
All right,
for
go
that.
get a hose clamp. I'll cut it. Ed forgot the hose clamp.
What I'm doing now is I'm getting the bubbles out of the cells.
On some of the old micro pattern, if it's really a new mat, the bubbles need to kind of come out. Now, it seems like the longer the mat season, they come be more hydrophilic than hydrophobic, and they almost don't need it, but you know, it always helps.
Yeah, this mat's old.
So we classified some material down to 1/8 inch because that's the only screen we had at the time. So I buying one from Bill Brewer at Carolina Prospectors. So I went the economical route and just used the screen that I had. So now we're just going ahead and we're feeding. Knowing that we're 1/8 inch, man, we're going to be able to just put the spank on this. But of course now, like I was mentioning before, with that cut out because we lost that little footage, Jesse or Ed hooked up. I've been calling switching these guys' names. Anyways, Ed hooked up this 2000 pump to the battery, and I'm looking at this, and we're not quite pumping 2000. So either the pump is old or the battery's a little dead. So you got to judge your flow level according to what's going on as far as your feed rate. Because if you could put like even 3/8 gravel into this thing, if you don't got the flow to push it out of the G4 separator, it's going to clog. And even after a while, if you could push it out, the heavy rocks will clog it anyway. So when I do classify, I usually classify 1/4 inch and I feed it. I got 2000 pump, and I kind of almost use like the G4 separator as an indicator. When that fills up with heavies in my area, I do a cleanup. But if I classify just the 1/8 inch, I'd be able to blow them out. With running 2000, we could push more material through it. But I bet you we're running probably about 1500. Just judging by my calibrated eye. I had it calibrated a little while ago to judge flow rates. I got a little operation, so it's telling me it's about 1500 gallons an hour. Oh, geez, that's a joke. Anyways, engineering joke there. Sorry, didn't mean to hurt anybody. So here we are. We got this guy sitting on this, comes with a 10-inch stand when you buy the whole kit. You can buy just the leveler and put it on your 8-inch, 10-inch, or 12-inch sluice. And do your own lake kits or box or whatever you want to do. So that allows you to put a cube stand on any trailer sluice or contraption and level it without having the stand to be the leveler. Because what I see a lot of people doing, they got the piece of plywood with the handle in it, kind of like the knee pads, and they set the plywood down and they use that rather than the stand, because the stands, if it drops right on the ground and you don't got a bucket flare and you don't got it up high to get it into a bucket, so this is how high you got to get it to a regular bucket, and getting it that high makes it unstable.
Yeah.
And you got shorter buckets, but still you got to get it up high to get it into the bucket, to get it to drain into the bucket. Or else the cube drops out right next to his feet and the feet start eroding and it falls over. So we're trying to solve the simple stand problem, not the bucket flare problem, and by getting the stand lower and wider to the ground so this thing is really stable. And also we got a little compliant there that was not totally planned, but it's really nice, because if you bump this, you know, and you give this guy a hard time, it isn't going to knock the level off because it kind of slides around. And it pivots on this here, levels here both ways. Me and Alex, we slayed this dragon the most complicated way you could imagine, that two engineers would proudly do. And about 6 months later, we decided that just a simple adapter, a simple leveler, and just a regular box was really what needed to put out there. Of course, our late kits are like about 119 bucks. Add that 119 bucks onto the box, that's powder coated with the adapters. This comes in right around 300 some bucks. I know some people are saying that's a little spendy, but you know, you got 100 bucks in just legs in the adapter. So we're hoping that you appreciate the nice system that we set up to allow for a nice cube base, so you can take your cube out, get it low to the ground. And now we got this trailer, and I'm going to go ahead and bring the camera around and show some pictures as Ed's feeding.
Right.
Go ahead, what do you think, Ed?
Well, right off the bat, David, compared to my old stand, like you said, I'd have to have it this high.
Because you got a bucket flare.
For the bucket
Yeah,
flare
you got a
to
bucket
go
flare.
into my bucket.
You got one of those RPE, is that who makes it,
Yeah,
bucket flare? And I've actually never, I've seen them on the internet, never actually held one. I held one for the first time today, so anyways.
Robinson Prospect.
Yeah,
Bucket flare. And like you said earlier, Dave, it's a lot higher and your center of gravity is a lot higher. It's more tippy and all that.
Yeah, it's like having a empty base of a cup and the top of the cup being full. It can tip over. So It's just simple physics. Yep.
And with this, you get a bigger footprint, lower to the ground, and you get another medium to capture wet maize.
Yep. So I had some friends I was prospecting with at Burnt River, and they'd take a 5-gallon bucket, fill it with rocks, put a piece of plywood on top of it, and get it high enough for the bucket flare, because the base being solid and full of rocks was heavier than the cube stand. Not that the cube stand didn't hold the cube, but when they would shovel material into the banker and sit there and they would rake on the banker, it would shake. And then the water's always getting, unless you perfectly divert your water away and it's going around the base, your base would get soft and it would get on tippy. So we're trying to, hopefully, by having the wide stand legs and having a wide base, being able to, in some circumstances, not in all circumstances, nothing cures cancer, allow for a way for people to get their cube set up on here and their trommel, and even go even higher. And so here he's shoveling some 1/8 inch on here. We got the mini map below. See, we got basically, you can see by the flow rate of all the other prospectors who have calibrated eyes, that we got about 1,500 probably going off there. A little more than 1,100. But
my pencil, my batteries.
So that's okay. We're all old too. I don't perform as well as I used to either.
I hear you.
Yeah. So, but anyways, so we having some fun with this thing. We love the cube system. We love the box. We love the mats in it. And one of the two things that I hear in the field from everybody and I just listen to people, and the two things they would love to see is I want my mast to clean out easier, and I wish the stand was more stable. And that's the two things I've heard. So talking with prospectors and talking about prospecting equipment, and sometimes when they find out you design prospecting equipment, a lot of people, when they find out you're developing prospecting equipment, they don't say, hey Dave, we really like what you're doing. They come to you and they say, can you fix this, this, and this? And I'm like, well, I really can't because that isn't all my stuff, but it's pretty funny, you know, sometimes we as people focus on the negatives, but we shouldn't throw the baby out with the bathwater, because the cube system is a standard. It's almost a staple. A lot of people have it. It works good. It solves a lot of problems. Gets people there really quick. It fits in your RV. It's really compatible. You know, the cube system is a nice setup. You know, I really enjoy everything that I do with my cube. And I won't admit that I accidentally left it behind at Blue Bucket because I was in a hurry to get out one night, and I have to go back and get it. But that's my bad. But anyways, stuff like that. But we're just having fun. This is kind of the black box. We just wanted to show setting it up, putting it together, simple, easy. It's not rocket science. It's easy to do. This really makes this stable. This here, actually, this is Tim. Tim came up with this idea. I was going to do it with a piece of metal. He just goes, you know, we just need to do that. And that was awesome. I appreciate my brother. And it matched with what we were doing here because we needed a round profile so that it can move and kind of pivot and not have to catch on anything. And boy, it's been fun, you know. And some pieces of plum products are fun to design. Some are a pain in the butt. This one's actually been a fun project. So thanks, Alex. Thanks, the group. And thanks, Ed, for letting us set it up and test it and get your thoughts. Anything else? What else do you think?
Well, I wish my pump was working better or my battery, because we definitely don't have 2,200 gallons.
We can't see it because we're in the shade, but we decided to put a metallic powder coat, gold metallic powder coat finish on this thing. And when it's in the sunlight, we are like, dude, if you're a bass fisherman, you're like buying this just for the looks, man. It's like got that metal bass boat metal flake in it. So, you know, yeah, well, you know, it's just we figured it's on the black cube. It had to be black. We call it the black box. Just having fun. Awesome. Cool beans. And he's got an old red, white, and blue patriotic mat on there. Darn right. America. All right. Have a good one, guys.